Are the Galaxy A56 5G and A36 5G really bringing something new, or are they just minor upgrades? One of the biggest expectations is that both will launch with Android 15, but which version of Samsung's One UI will they have? Most likely, it will be One UI 7.0. Android 15 is introducing some interesting features. One of the most notable is satellite support, which allows users to send messages using satellite networks. Messaging apps will be able to use this connection, but will all Galaxy S series phones have it? That depends on the hardware, and at this point it's unclear if these mid-range devices will support it. There are also some changes in privacy controls. Users will have more options for handling sensitive notifications. They can decide if these notifications should appear on the lock screen only when the phone is unlocked or hide them completely. This gives better control over private information. Samsung is improving the way Bluetooth works. Now, when you turn on Bluetooth, a new pop-up will provide more options, making it easier to manage connections. You'll be able to access settings quickly, approve or deny Bluetooth actions, and possibly more. Another useful feature is app archiving. This helps free up storage space by temporarily removing apps you don't use while keeping their data safe. When needed, you can restore them without losing any settings or information. Camera improvements are also expected. Users will be able to adjust the flash brightness when taking photos or using the flashlight, which should improve picture quality in low-light situations. However, it's still unknown if the processors in the Galaxy A56 and A36 will support advanced Galaxy Eye features. Samsung has also not confirmed how long these phones will receive software updates. Looking at the previous models, the Galaxy A55 5G and A35 5G, they got 4 years of Android updates and 5 years of security updates. It's likely that Samsung will offer a similar update policy for the new devices. Now, if you want to take your camera experience to the next level, Samsung's Camera Assistant app has received a big update for One UI 7.0. This update also gives us an exciting detail about the Galaxy A56. But before we continue, there's a quick reminder. Samsung's pre-orders for the Galaxy S25 lineup are closing soon. If you're considering getting one, now is the time. Samsung is offering up to $900 in trade-in value, $350 in free credit for storage upgrades, and even a free pair of Buds 3 Pro. Samsung is also updating its Good Lock apps to work with One UI 7.0. This ensures users can access customization features as soon as the update is officially released. One of the latest apps to receive an update is Camera Assistant. The update notes reveal an interesting detail. The Galaxy A56 is listed as a supported device. This strongly suggests that the A56 will launch with One UI 7.0 straight out of the box. The Camera Assistant app has been around for over 2 years and provides extra settings for users who want more control over their photos. You can adjust options like enabling or disabling high dynamic range, softening images, and switching lenses automatically.
Have you ever wondered what's inside your smartphone? How all those tiny parts come together to make the device in your hand work? Well, with the Galaxy S25 Plus officially shipping to customers, the first teardown video is out and it reveals some interesting changes. If you've ever been curious about how Samsung builds its devices or how easy they are to repair, this one's for you. The Galaxy S25 Plus has just started arriving in the hands of those who pre-ordered it. As expected, teardown experts wasted no time in taking it apart. The first detailed breakdown comes from PBK Reviews, and it shows that while Samsung has made a few small improvements, the overall repairability score remains the same as last year's model. So what's new? One of the most notable changes is with the battery removal process. In previous models, removing the battery was tricky because it was glued down tightly. But in the S25 Plus, Samsung has added a slightly improved battery pull pouch. This means getting the battery out is a bit easier than before, which is great news for those who might need a battery replacement in the future. Taking it apart, the teardown begins by removing the SIM tray. Then heat needs to be applied to the back glass panel, which is made from Gorilla Glass Victus 2. This helps loosen the adhesive that holds the panel in place. With the right tools, the back panel can then be pried off. Once inside, the first thing you see is the key wireless charging coil, which sits over the battery. To go further, 21 Phillips screws need to be removed. These screws hold together various components, including the loudspeaker and the linear haptic feedback motor, which provides vibration feedback. Since the phone is IP68 rated, meaning it's resistant to dust and water, certain parts, like the SIM tray and speaker areas, are sealed with rubber gaskets. Inside the mainboard, underneath the wireless charging coil, 3 ribbon cables connect the mainboard to the subboard. These need to be disconnected before moving further. The mainboard itself holds the 3 rear cameras, 2 of which have optical image stabilization to help reduce shaky videos and blurry photos. Flipping the board over, you'll find important sensors including the ambient light sensor, which adjusts screen brightness automatically, and the proximity sensor, which turns off the screen when you hold the phone to your ear. Another interesting part of the teardown is the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is Samsung's latest processor. It's covered by a graphite pad and a thermal pad, which help keep the phone from overheating. Below the processor, you'll find the RAM and storage. Bigger vapor chamber for cooling. Samsung has made a slight upgrade to the cooling system. The copper vapor chamber, which helps spread heat away from the processor, is a bit larger than the one in the Galaxy S24 Plus. This means the phone should handle heat better during heavy tasks like gaming or video editing. The bottom section. Moving further down, there's the subboard, which holds the USB Type-C charging port, primary microphone, and SIM card slot. In some regions, the phone might also have an M-Wave antenna for 5G. Putting it back together, once everything is examined, the turnout expert reassembles the phone. And despite the slight improvements in battery removal, the overall repairability score remains at 9/10, the same as last year's Galaxy S24 Plus.
Could Apple's iPhone SE4 hit it out of the park, or is it more of a swing and a miss? Apple's gearing up for its big iPhone release of 2025, and no, it's not the iPhone 17 series, though that's certainly something we're all expecting. And while many are eagerly anticipating Samsung's Galaxy S25 Edge, Apple's got something else in the works. It's the iPhone SE4, a phone that's been on the minds of budget-conscious Apple fans since 2023. And it's almost here. This isn't just any regular iPhone release, it's a chance for Apple to give its more budget-conscious customers what they've been asking for. A modern iPhone SE with thin bezels, almost ready to go. Most of the key details are locked in, but there's one big question hanging in the air. To notch or not to notch? That's the million-dollar question. According to a recent update from display industry expert Ross Young, the SE4 is likely to sport a notch similar to the iPhone 14, which has made a lot of people wonder, is this really the best choice for Apple's latest budget-friendly device? This news doesn't sit well with everyone, especially not the industry leaker Evan Blass, who had hinted at a dynamic island design for the SE4. However, after Ross Young's update, Blass joked that he might need to offer refunds for his earlier prediction, confirming that the notch is here to stay. Why would Apple stick with a design that's so widely debated? Well, the answer might lie in cost-cutting measures. Apple is known for making profit-driven decisions, and while this might seem like a slight letdown to some, it was always expected to be a direction they'd take. Still, it leaves some wondering whether this is the right move for Apple in the long run. So what's the trade-off? Dynamic island or a cheaper price? Let's be real. Apple has its reasons for keeping the price of the iPhone SE4 in check. At the end of the day, it's all about the Apple tax. It's the cost of maintaining the status symbol that comes with owning an iPhone, no matter how much more you could get with a similar budget Android phone. But for those who will go for the SE4, there's a decision to make. Will the iPhone SE4's notch and single rear camera turn people off, or will the affordable price tag be enough to sway potential buyers? The iPhone SE3 started at $429, and the SE4 is expected to follow with a similar entry price of around $450. But imagine if Apple had gone all out and priced it at $500 with a dynamic island design and dual cameras. Now that would have set the tech world on fire. But at $450, it might struggle to make the same impact. Sure, some of you might say that a higher price tag for this budget phone just wasn't going to happen. But look at last year's iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. Those models didn't see a price increase despite their high-end specs. So it's clear Apple can afford to make a bold move when it wants to. It's just that, with the iPhone SE4, they decided to play it safe. Let's think about this from a long-term perspective. Most buyers of budget smartphones like the iPhone SE hold on to their devices for 4 or 5 years. But owning a notched iPhone in 2029? That could feel like a relic. Apple's decision to stick with a notch might cost them in the long run, especially if customers feel they've settled for less. What do you think? Will the iPhone SE4 find success with this design, or will it fall short of expectations? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates.